Scott, you and I checked out a stealth game, dude, a very cool game called Ereban Shadow Legacy. You and I are big fans of stealth, and this is one I've had my eye on for a while. Dude, the art style instantly pulled me in. I'm like, I need to know more. We're hiding in the shadows. This is one of the things I love to do most is hide around in the shadows and then pop out, take out the people, and disappear like I was never there, right? It is fantastic. Ereban to me feels like an old school stealth game in such a way that I've been craving this. I need to go back to a stealth game. What's a stealth game I can play? And I'm racking my brain lately, and I just kind of, there's Dishonored, there's Metal Gear Solid, right? There's some of them that are up there that you know and you all love. And then in this one, I'm like, dude, it's got a little bit of this, it's got a little bit of that, it's got a little bit, I'm like, these ideas, and then they all come together, and they just click. And I felt so good after my 14 hours wrapping up the game that I was like, this is cool. Dude, I had a good time. Definitely not perfect. It's got some issues and things we'll bring up here in a second. The story, I thought, hit pretty well. The beginning intro, I was like, what is happening here? Why are we here? It just throws you in with no explanation that kind of leads into the very beginning of the game. I think I would have liked to have seen a better introduction of who is Iana, why are we helping this organization, and then sends us on our path from there, right? I think that was the biggest setup for myself. But getting past that, then you get into the story and like, yo, we're the last of our Ereban, we're the last of our people. And it was awesome. Dude, I had a blast playing. What about you?
Yeah, you're very accurate there with a little bit of a misstep at the beginning of the game. You feel a little bit out of place, don't really know what's going on with the world, but that is filled in through some of the collectibles you can kind of pick up and read along the way, and it gives you a little bit of that backstory. But it's interesting because over the course of the game, you do learn a lot more about yourself, the kind of world, and then by the end of it, I've found my motivation. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm here for. But we get into some of those classic stealth elements, and I know you play a little bit more like a panther than I do. I'm the ghost. I go in and out. Nobody even knows I was there, and I was able to achieve that almost entirely through this whole game. There's a couple parts that really put you in through the paces, trying to really grapple with some of the abilities that you have, but I found I was able to kind of bypass a lot of that by being just pure stealth, and that's something that I really look for in these games, because if it's a stealth game, I should be able to go from point A to B, not being able to be seen, and it specifically, pardon me, helps that you are an Ereban, because you can melt into the shadows. So cool. And there's a lot of these abilities, when you're able to melt into the shadow and just pop right under somebody's feet and come up behind them and run away, and there's certain things that I was having fun with, just kind of, even if things went wrong, I was still able to salvage the moment and have fun doing it, running through. But it was interesting because the pacing of the game is a little bit strange. We've talked about this over the course of the game. At the beginning, the game looks a lot different than it does towards the end. The beginning, you're faced with a lot of very open environments. It's not true to say that it's an open world entirely, but you're kind of going through these... Yeah, very big open level design, and exploration is kind of really encouraged that way, because you're finding some of these upgrades, you're finding things to craft and make yourself stronger, and that was interesting. It also kind of helped me grasp a little bit of what's going on, grab the story pieces if I were exploring. But you get just beyond that, and the narrowing of the level design is very obvious, where it becomes a little bit more linear, but in that regard, it becomes a little bit more of a challenge. Each room I was coming across seems more of a prefabricated challenge instead of just a playground to mess around with.
Absolutely. When it came to the early stages and the early open level design, I felt at moments there wasn't really anything there. That was my biggest feeling of, okay, I don't have to worry about a target, because you have like a sonar scanner, almost like Splinter Cell, right? But either way, you got this scanner that kind of goes out, and you look around, like, dude, there's nobody here. I'm now like running across the open field. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. But if you do take your time, you can kind of go and explore, because you're looking for these orbs, right? Shadow orbs you can kind of absorb, and then from there you can upgrade your skill tree. Skill tree's cool. Dude, I did not max out my skill tree because I'm missing some of these orbs somehow, somewhere still. So I'm able to complete it without getting the later levels of some of these orbs. And I was like, man, I really wish I did find them, which meant I should have been exploring a little bit more, right? When I see that open area, maybe I should have deviated a little bit more to the left or more to the right. But when you get later on within the game, instead of those areas being so open, like you say, it's more of a narrower corridor and more of a point A to point B situation, I felt, where you were able then to go and just take care of the objective, sneak past, go take out whoever you have to. And it's just been an interesting, you align yourself with the Forgotten Sons, this organization afterwards that has the same vision idea of you that you're after, and then you're trying to solve this mystery and things. And the way it wraps up, the ending, I thought was actually pretty cool. There's 3 different endings. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I was happy and I felt justified when I get to the end, because sometimes, dude, some developers just, they fail right at the end, right? And I didn't feel that here. I thought the ending was like, all right, cool, all right, and I'll just leave it at that. But I felt my ending, I thought, was cool either way at the end of it. But the shadow abilities, the ability to go blind these guys and sneak past them if you want to, or blind them and sneak up to them and take them out. You had options. There are opportunities here. I thought the lighting in the world, incredible. The art style, amazing. The art style, dude, I was like, yo, I love this. I love the art. It just hooked me instantly.
It'll age well too.
Absolutely, right? It's not that realistic looking art style that you have to worry about. Like, ooh, man, that looks. Maybe remember like Lara Croft from way back in the day. Oh, this looks great. Now, woohoo, man, not so much. So when you get into something like this, where it's stylized, you have the opportunity then for this game to last for generations, right? Is the idea. And when you're playing off this light and shadow mechanic, the level design going, okay, I'm here, but I need to get to there. But then there's this giant windmill that goes through the world. I'm like, ooh, there's my shadow. And I follow this along, and now I'm up, or now I've snuck past somebody, or now I've been able to kind of get around this objective. Very, very cool level design. At the end of the day, I just felt at moments, it just felt a little empty. Scott, as much as we had a good time, there's definitely a couple little hiccups along the way. There was moments where I fell into the world. So I'm hoping that gets patched, that gets fixed, right? When I was able to suck myself into the world, I go into the shadows, and I went through this grate, and then I came back and I talked to somebody, and as I went to go back up this wall and in through this grate, dude, I went into the wall. I'm like, now I'm behind the level. I'm like, oh. And that happened probably about twice. And then there are other moments too when I've taken out some of the robots. They've fallen into a box or into a wall. Instead of having that hit detection and then move aside or move or bounce off of the object, they were actually laying in the object. So a couple little small minor things. So it's like, didn't quite take me out because I was having such a great time hiding within the shadows as it was. But there's just a couple little glitches. Do you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I avoided some of those problems by just being a ghost, going through and not fighting anybody. I didn't uncover those issues, but I did fall through the map a few times, and that was frustrating there. In one occasion, I fell through the map and then was able to kind of pop back out on the other side of the wall, and I just continued on like nothing happened. It's just a new power we got. But it was a little disheartening to see that there are some technical issues, but it wasn't ever breaking the game. It never really got in the way of having fun.
Scott, at the end of the day, there's a couple minor bugs like we talked about, right? Hopefully that'll get ironed out at a later patch. But the story was enough to hook me in, the art style, and the way the level design was there with the shadows, and how that played off the world and the environment and allowed me to sneak around, pulled me right into the experience. And that's the best part you can get about a game. And for me, I'm wrapping up with an 8. Dude, I had a good time. What about you?
No, I absolutely agree with you there. I'm at an 8 as well. I wish there was a little bit more put into some of the puzzles that we get into. Some of these open environments could have maybe used a little bit more of that, but that plus the technical issues, it's the only real takeaway from this game that otherwise is outstanding. I love this classic stealth.